Hello students, I am Dr. Ranjana Saxena. Today, I am going to talk on the strategies for enhancement in food production, that is, how to increase the food production. But the fundamental question is, why do we need to increase food production? Can you think of a possible answer? Well, some of you may be right. It is definitely because of the ever increasing human population, and we all know that food is very important to sustain life. So, to sustain life, the increasing population, we need to enhance the food production. Let us not forget that it is not only the human beings that need food to survive. In fact, all living organisms need food to survive. So, food production has to be enhanced for the survival of all living organisms. In this lesson, however, we will be talking about enhancement of food production with respect to human beings. Now, just list the food items that you eat and try to find out the source of these food items. Yes, we all eat vegetables. We all eat fruits, chapatis, rice, corn, bajra, etc. And all these we get from plants. So, we need to grow more plants. We also eat a lot of dairy products like butter, cheese, curd, etc. And all these are milk products. So, we need to increase the milk production. How can we increase milk production? Or, of course, by increasing the number of good breed of animals that give us milk. For example, cows, buffalo, sheep, goat and camel. Now, in this figure, you can see various animals of dairy farming and you can see the products of dairy farming too. Some of us are also non-vegetarian and eat meat, chicken, fish and eggs. For these, we are dependent on other animals, the poultry birds, goat, fish, etc. So, a good breed of these animals need to be enhanced for the food requirement. We are directly or indirectly dependent on plants and animals for our food. So, we need to increase the production of plants and also increase the number of animals of good breed on which we are dependent for food. It is because of our knowledge of science and technology that various methods with scientific approach have been developed for enhancing food production. Scientific and biological principles applied to animal husbandry and plant breeding play an important role in our efforts to increase food production. Today, we will be talking about animal husbandry. Now, what is animal husbandry? It is an agricultural practice of breeding, raising and maintaining livestock by humans. Livestock means animals that can be domesticated like cows, buffaloes, poultry birds, fishes, honeybees, etc. that are useful to humans. New technologies are applied in animal husbandry to achieve quality and productivity. Students, what do you think is the importance of animal breeding? Yes, it is to increase the yield and also to improve the quality of produce that is useful to humans. As I said, animal husbandry is the care and breeding of animals, particularly livestock. So, here I am going to include dairy farming, which is rearing and management of animals for milk and its products, poultry farming, which is domestication of birds for food or meat or for their eggs, apiculture, maintenance of honeybees and their hives for the production of honey is what we are going to include in apiculture, fisheries, catching, rearing or selling of fish or other aquatic animals. Now, let me discuss each one of the animal husbandry practices one by one. First of all, let me tell you about dairy farming. Students, What do you understand by the word dairy farming? The practice of dairy farming means raising and cultivating cattle, mostly cows or goats, with high potential for long-term production of milk and milk products. Buffaloes, sheep, camel or horses are some of the other domesticated animals that can be reared for milk and milk products. Here, let me mention that the word dairy means milk and milk products, and so we are only emphasizing on animals that give us milk. We all know that the quality of milk and its yield will depend on the quality of breed. This can be easily achieved by good dairy farming practices, or we can say dairy farming management. So, let us understand what is good dairy farming management. Good dairy farming management means selection of good breeds. So, we can say selection of high yielding animals. Giving quality food or giving quality fodder and in good quantity, that is very important. Providing adequate and clean water. Maintenance of disease-free breeds, that is regular checkups by veterinary doctor will help in preventing the diseases. Providing proper shelter, maintaining cleanliness and hygiene of the dairy farm, cattle and the handlers. It is very important that the handlers too need to be hygienic clean. Now, let us list the things that we need to keep in mind while establishing a dairy farm. While establishing a dairy farm with high yielding breeds, we must provide the basic requirements to them, which are animal housing, selection of breed, that is a breed which is disease resistant and is a healthy breed, transport of animals, good quality feed in good quantity. Now, that is very important, good quantity, daily care, health care, calf rearing, maintaining cleanliness and hygiene, and reproductive management. Planning Commission, Government of India has set up a milk board for the urban areas. Do you know, students, that this board consists of representatives of producers, distributors, consumers, municipal corporation, health authorities and state governments. The board looks into the handling, distribution, quality control, imports and price fixation of milk and milk products. Similarly, village schemes have been formulated for improving the cattle breed, for milk production and for ensuring adequate fodder supplied for dairy cattle. Now, next I am going to discuss poultry farming. Poultry farming is an important occupation in our country and also world over. The word poultry means domestication and rearing of birds like chicken, turkeys, geese, ducks for the production of meat or eggs for sale and consumption. How can we have good breed poultry birds which are disease resistant? Just as in dairy farming, the fundamental requirement of poultry farming is selection and rearing of disease-free breeds. They are then kept in properly managed and spaced cages, as you can see in the picture. Here you can also see that the eggs laid by them are big and in good condition. This is primarily because the birds are of good breed, they are disease free and are properly cared. The next important thing is to give these birds quality food and water. Along with the quality, we must remember that they also have to be given a good quantity of food. A good quality food means food that ensures maximum intake of energy for growth and fat production. If a good quality food is given in adequate quantity, then the egg production will also increase. Next very important point in poultry farming is maintenance of proper cleanliness and hygiene of the poultry farm. Birds are kept in proper wire cages with controlled environment to avoid overcrowding, as you can see in this figure. Properly designed and maintained cages have found to increase production, lower the mortality of poultry birds, reduce diseases and parasites, and also reduce their food requirement. Thanks to science and technology, the feeding, watering, egg gathering and cleaning operations are now highly mechanized in poultry farming. I have mentioned about good breed both in dairy farming and poultry farm management. What do we mean by the word breed? In simple words, breed is a specific group of domestic animals with homogeneous appearance and other characteristics that would differentiate it from other animals of the same species. Now, what do we mean by animal breeding? It means breeding of domesticated animals with desired qualities in a controlled manner. In this way, we can get animals which are more beneficial to us. For this, we need to select parents with desired qualities and mate them to a good breed. Now, breeding can be inbreeding or it can be outbreeding. Inbreeding is mating of animals within the closely related individuals, animals which are genetically similar of the same breed for 4 to 6 generations. As you can see here, the turkeys which are plump and grow quickly, the male ones as well as the female turkeys which are plump and grow quickly, they are mated and we get an offspring which is likely to have both these desirable characters. Now, these inbred organisms have alleles very similar to the parents. So, what have we done here? Superior males or females of the same breed are identified and mated, that is plump and fast growing male and female turkeys in the example that we have taken here. Progeny from such type of matings are again evaluated and superior males and females are once again identified and selected for further mating. So, let us list the advantages of inbreeding. 1. We get a pure line in an animal breed. 2. It exposes harmful recessive genes that are eliminated by selection. Thus, superior genes get accumulated and inferior deleterious genes or undesirable genes are eliminated. Now, let us see the disadvantages of inbreeding. As you can see here, small a is a recessive allele which has a deleterious gene. This allele can become active and express itself only in the homozygous condition, that is small a. Now, these homozygous recessive genes have a reduced phenotype expression and also have a reduced selection. Thus, the organisms with these recessive homozygous genes are less fit to its natural environment. So, now what has inbreeding resulted in? Homozygosity, decreased biological fitness, also called inbreeding depression. Now, let us understand what is outbreeding. Outbreeding is when cross can be made between unrelated organisms, which means mating can take place between organisms of different species of different breed, or mating can take place between organisms of same breed but not related through blood, that is, they do not have common ancestors for 4 to 6 generations. Outbreeding can either be outcrossing, crossbreeding or interspecific hybridization. Now, let us understand the differences between the three, namely outcross, crossbreeding and interspecific hybridization. Outcross is the practice of mating of animals within the same breed, but having no common ancestors on either side of their pedigree up to 4 to 6 generations. The offspring, that is, the result of mating, and this is known as outcross. This breeding method is used for animals to increase their milk production and growth rate of beef in cattle. You can find out some more examples of outcross breeding. Outcross breeding may also help to overcome inbreeding depression. Second type of outbreeding is crossbreeding. Crossbreeding means mating of superior males of one breed with the superior female of another breed. Thus, desirable qualities of the two breeds are combined into one individual, and a new stable breed that may be superior to the existing breed can be obtained. A very good example of this is Hizartail, which is a new breed of sheep developed in Punjab by crossing Bikaneri Ewees and Merino rams. Next is interspecific hybridization. What is interspecific hybridization? Interspecific hybridization is crossing of animals of one species with the animals of another species. A good example that we all know is that of a mule. Here we can see that a male donkey is mated with a female horse and we get a mule. The progeny in interspecific hybridization will have combined desirable features of both the parents. So, in this example, a mule has short head, long ears, thin limbs with small narrow hooves and short mane like a donkey, but the height, body shape of neck and rump, uniformity of coat and teeth are like that of a horse. It is stronger than a horse, but less excitable. But let me mention here that a mule is sterile. They cannot make sperm or eggs because their chromosomes do not match up well. Artificial insemination, as you can see in the figure here, is a controlled method of breeding in which the semen is collected from a superior donor male parent and injected into the reproductive tract of the selected female parent during estrus by the breeder to get fertilization of the ova. The advantages of artificial insemination thus are: semen can be used immediately or can be stored and frozen for later use. Semen from a desired breed can be easily transported in a frozen form to distant places where the selected females are present and can be used for impregnating the females on a large scale. It helps in overcoming several problems of normal mating. The success of artificial insemination is, however, very low. So, to improve the chances of successful production of hybrids, other techniques are used, and one of them is multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology. Now, let us understand this technique. The various steps used in multiple ovulation embryo transfer technology. The first step is ovulation of a large number of eggs in donor cows of good breed by giving the hormone FSH. In other words, we are super ovulating them to produce 6 to 8 ova per cycle. Next is artificially inseminating the donor with the sperm from a selected hybrid bull. In the next step, when the embryo has reached the 8-cell stage, it is collected from the donor and split into 4 2-celled embryos. Each 2-celled embryo is then implanted in a surrogate cow. Now, the calves produced by these surrogative cows will be genetically identical to each other, but will be very different from their parents. Another advantage of this technique is that normally a cow produces only one calf in a year, but now by this multiple ovulation embryo technique, a dairy farmer can get more good quality breed of calves in a year. Students, you must have heard of the sheep Dolly. It was also cloned in a similar manner as you can see in this figure. A donor cell is taken from a sheep's udder and the nucleus of this is removed. Similarly, the egg cell is taken and the nucleus of the egg cell is removed. Now, the donor nucleus is introduced by electric shock into this egg cell and the fused cell begins dividing normally. When the blastocyst stage is reached, this embryo is placed in the uterus of a foster mother and the embryo develops normally into a lamb which was named Dolly. So, we can say that this technology has been successfully used to increase the herd size in a short time by breeding high milk yielding breeds of females and high quality meat, that is lean meat with less fat yielding bulls. Let me now talk about the next animal of importance to human beings, the honeybees. Apiculture is the rearing and maintenance of honeybee colonies in proper man-made beehives for commercial production of honey and other products of beehive, as you can see in the figure. The place where honeybee is reared is called an apiary, and the person who rears and maintains beehive is called a beekeeper. The scientific name of honeybee is Apis. There are many species of honeybees that can be reared, but the most common which can be easily reared is Apis indica. Beekeeping can be done in places where there are sufficient wild shrubs, fruits, orchards and cultivated crops. Beehives can be kept in the courtyard too, or even a veranda or a rooftop, provided there is enough pasture, bee pasture that is. So, apiculture is not only rearing and maintaining of honeybees, but it is also proper maintenance of beehive. What are the points that one needs to keep in mind for beekeeping? Let us list them. 1. It is very important to have a proper knowledge about the different castes of honeybee and their behavior before starting the bee culture. Next important point in beekeeping is selection of the appropriate site for keeping the beehive. Catching and hiving of swarms is another important aspect. Management of the beehives in different seasons of the year. And lastly, the proper handling and collection of honey and bee wax is very important. Now, let me tell you some of the advantages of honey bee. Well, we all know that we get honey, we all eat, even you must have taken honey. So, honey for human consumption, wax for pharmaceutical and cosmetic products, bee venom. You will be surprised to know that bee venom is used as an anticoagulant to increase the crop yield. Honeybees are very good pollinators. So, they pollinate many plants like sunflower, apple, pear, etc. In this figure, you can see honeybee collecting pollen from the flower, and you can also see the stacks from which the honey is being extracted and then You can see in this photo, it is being processed, and finally, the honey that is produced is kept in the bottle. The last in animal husbandry is fish farming. Fisheries or fish farming is an upcoming industry in India, has gained a lot of importance. Fisheries is the catching of wild fish, raising them through fish farming or aquaculture, processing and selling of fish, shellfish and other aquatic animals. You can see that there is a big building here which is exclusively for this purpose. Dear students, do you know that the fish output in India has doubled between 1990 and 2010? According to the Food and Agricultural Organization of the United Nations, India has 7,517 kilometers of marine coastline, roughly around 3,827 fishing villages and 1,914 traditional fish landing centers. Fisheries and aquaculture not only provides employment to millions of people, but also it is a source of food security. As you can see in this figure, India's breeding and cultural technologies include some freshwater fishes like labio, commonly we all call it as rohu, catla, you can see here the catla, mistus or the catfish, mrigal, morels. Some of the marine fishes that you can see here which are eaten in India are pomfrets, you can see here, sardines and tuna. Prawns, you must have all had prawns sometime if you are non-vegetarian. So, prawns, mussels as you can see in the figure, oysters that are farmed in sea water, these are also eaten in India. Now, students, let us see what is the aim of fish culture. To obtain maximum yield of fish for byproducts of fishing industry, to obtain palatable and nutritive fish flesh, and for medicinal purposes. Basically, we have three types of cultivable fishes: indigenous or native freshwater fishes like the carps, saltwater fishes that can be acclimatized to fish water like canoes and mullets, exotic fishes, exotic means brought from outside like common carp fish, Japanese silverfish. Now, before starting the fish culture, it is necessary for us to know the essential qualities of a fish that can be cultured. So, the essential qualities of the fish that is to be cultured are: it should be able to tolerate the climatic conditions of the pond or the region in which it will be raised. Its rate of growth should be sufficiently high, should grow to large size in shorter period of time, should be able to reproduce successfully under culture conditions, should be able to feed and survive on the artificial feed, must be acceptable to the consumer with good nutritive value. Very important that these fishes should be healthy and disease resistance, should support a high population density in the culture pond, that is, should be able to live with other fishes without any inconvenience. It has been found that the mixed farming or composite fish farming, that is polyculture, for a few selected species of fishes increase the total fish production. As you can see here, the various types of fishes, the composite fish farming has been a very old method followed in India. It is based on the different feeding habits of the fishes. A very good example is that of catla, which is a surface feeder and midwater feeder, labio rohita, a column feeder, and Serena mrigala, which is a bottom feeder. Students, after knowing so much, can you differentiate between aquaculture and fisheries? Well, as the name suggests, aqua means water. So, aquaculture means breeding, rearing and harvesting of animals and plants of marine and freshwater in large numbers. Fisheries, on the other hand, is the catching of wild fish, raising them through fish farming or aquaculture, processing and selling of fish, shellfish and other aquatic animals. So, fisheries is a part of aquaculture. Today, we talk of Blue Revolution. Blue Revolution refers to the emergence of aquaculture as an important agricultural activity which is highly productive. Many species of freshwater and marine organisms are being cultivated for human consumption and also for commercial purposes. Now, let us recall what we have learned today. We have learned that animal husbandry is the practice of taking care and breeding domestic animals by applying scientific principles. We now also know the importance of animal husbandry. The animal husbandry practices include dairy farming, poultry management, animal breeding, beekeeping and management, and fish farming. You can now differentiate between inbreeding and outbreeding. You have also learnt the concept of outcrossing, crossbreeding, and interspecific hybridization with suitable examples. You now know what is inbreeding depression. You have learned the difference between aquaculture and fish farming. Concept of Blue Revolution must be now clear to you. Thank you, students.